So what we're going to be doing is we're doing a live Q&A. So for the last hour, we've had all the social media accounts kind of reach out to everybody and tell you guys to ask us any questions that you want to know, whether it's about the company, whether it's about myself, GraySquare, marketing, business just in general. So we got about 10, 15 questions here that have been pretty solid so far. And in about 30 seconds, we're going to go ahead and get started with the Q&A. Feel free to throw anything in the chat. See everybody that's hopping in. Appreciate you guys checking it out. And if this goes well, hopefully this becomes an ongoing thing that we can do just to kind of stay in touch and interact with everybody. Maybe get a different manager representation from the company. Obviously, we'll all be downhill after me, but get them in here to kind of talk to you guys and do Q&A with them as well. So let's see. Let's pull up some of the questions. Still got people coming in. How's everybody doing? Cool. So these are not going to be in any particular order or anything like that. I had Catalina, who takes care of all of our social media. Shouts out to Catalina for making this possible. Just kind of throw a whole bunch of questions that you guys were asking at us, and we're just going to kind of tackle them as they go by. So the first one comes up, says, what is the best advice that you would give a 22-year-old fresh out of college? Best advice you would give a 22-year-old fresh out of college. The first thing that I would say is stop listening to your parents and your friends. At 22 years old, fresh out of college, we tend to take terrible advice from people who aren't where we would want to be. I hear so many times you have these young kids that come in fresh out of college, just got their degrees, are just getting into the job market. Mom wants me to be this, dad wants me to be this. Don't take a job that says X, Y, and Z. Instead of just going out there and really living your life and getting some hands-on experience for yourself. I think that at 22 years old, you're tied up in thinking that the relationships that you're in are going to be the relationships you have for the rest of your life. The friends that you have then are going to be the friends that you have for the rest of your life. And it's just not true. So my best advice that I would give someone is to go out and do what you want. Figure out what you want, experience new things. Because if you screw up at 22 years old and you screw up for the next 5 years, you still have the rest of your life to get it right, and it's not a big deal. Instead of doing what mom or dad wants you to do and missing out on what could be an amazing opportunity, whether it's career-wise, whether it's, going out and starting that band you always wanted to, whatever it is that you wanted to do, really tackling something, that would be the time to do it. Next question. What's the best thing you've learned in 2019? Well, we're about halfway through 2019 right now. I would say one of the biggest things that have been kind of like a focal point or a motif even for 2019 has been how to manage culture. I've always personally been very good at how to create culture from nothing, how to set the tone, set the pace in an office or a personal environment to create the culture. How to manage it once the culture is been created is kind of like an entirely different weapon that we've had to do, especially here at GraySquare. We've seen an explosion in terms of headcount, different personalities. We have a management team that is awesome, that's on board, that has different ways of viewing the same obstacles, and really being able to focus on deleting the negativity that starts with us or myself. So it's once you have culture that's been in there, I've been focusing a lot of it on what exactly can I do to stop the spread of any type of negativity and focus on nothing more than the goal. And the goal is growth and money. So if something isn't giving you growth or money, to not give it the time of day. And eventually people will stop even bringing it to you if they know that there's no conversation to even be had. And that's something that I had to learn this year. I think it's been a tough pill to swallow, but has 100% motivated me and gave me a new perspective on just culture and the things that I can do to impact things personally. What's going on? I see some people in the chat. Swish Gang for life. How can you balance work life and family life? There's actually a couple questions I've seen that were asked about how to just manage time. A big thing that we are an advocate for is using your actual calendar. Like every Sunday night, set an alarm for yourself, 8 p.m. Sunday night, whenever you're free, to go and map out the rest of your week. Treat your family life the same way that you would treat your business life, in that you have to schedule time to actually give attention to the priorities that you have in your life. Whether it's, hey, spending time with friends and family, going on date nights, spending time with the kids, make sure it's on your calendar so that you know that it's going to get done, and then share it with them so they know that they're a priority. It's very, like, the common thing that you hear in marketing in general has always kind of been like, it's going to be a sacrifice. There's going to be a sacrifice as far as what you can do in your personal life and the time that you actually get to spend with your family. That's true, but being able to mitigate that sacrifice and the impact that it has on your day-to-day and week-to-week life is something that you're 100% capable of. Having a significant other or having friends and family that are 100% in tune with the same goals that you have becomes a million times easier to manage. So if my significant other has access to my calendar and sees that I'm busy from X hour to X hour, I'm not going to be bothered during that time, so I can focus on giving my work and my craft 100% of my attention, and they still feel 100% accepted and appreciated because they know that they're going to have a time slot. Now, during their time slot, the other important part of that is that I'm not on my phone. I'm not doing work while I'm supposed to be with my family. It's 100% giving my time and understanding what is supposed to be done with them. Most important question from chat. Why are you so much sexier than Landon? Why does Landon suck so much? So most of the questions actually revolved around this. So we're going to spend a little bit of time on this. Some of the other questions were, hey, can you give me a weekly reason as to why you're better than Landon? The video making fun of Landon was the best thing that you guys have put out. Can you elaborate on this? When are we going to see another video about you and Landon? That has pretty much been the majority of the questions actually surrounded this. So I did some research, and this week's thing to hate on Landon about is he actually uses hair plugs. That's not his real hair that he has whatsoever. So, you know, clearly we've got good hair over here. That is going to be this week's reason that I'm better than Landon, is that my hair is real and doesn't have hair plugs. So there you go. I think Kim had asked, what motivates you? So one of the things that we talk when we talk about motivation is having goals, right? It's very difficult to have any type of motivation if it's not working towards something, right? Like the same reason that you say, like, what is the reason to wake up in the morning? Or one of the things that I get on personally is like people on Facebook or social media that tend to hate on Mondays. I think it's the most cringiest things I've ever seen in my life is people wake up and are like, oh, I hate my life. It's Monday. Where'd the weekend go? Like, you're living for the weekend. You're doing something wrong. Like, you miss the point. You miss the message of what you could be doing. The next thing, like, as far as like what motivates you, like me personally, is definitely just having my own everything. Like, part of what I want to do in the grand scheme of things is to run my own business that takes over the world, create a conglomerate, have 100 offices under me. These are things that I talk about all the time. And if your goals are big enough, you wake up in the morning and you basically just jump out of bed and just attack whatever it is that you're supposed to be doing. It doesn't become a hassle. It becomes something that you're excited to do. And that's one of the biggest differences, I would say, between the people who hate Mondays and actually get started, you know, to do their goals. When did this Landon beef start? There's no actual Landon beef. The Landon beef started because Landon's one of the people that I'm closest with in the company, and it started off as a way to just motivate him as he went and took over a new market for us up in Boston. And now that he's actually doing well, it's kind of a way for us to stay motivated back and forth, so to then go and surpass each other, go back and forth, kind of like a kid and play type thing. And everything that I've ever said about it is true, which helps add to the beef. Let's take another question. If your life was turned into a movie, who would play you and what would the title of the movie be? It would be Matt Zuckery, and it would be called I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell Too. Look it up, Google it, it's a great movie. What makes marketing better than corporate America for you? A lot of things. Here, the biggest one, as far as marketing versus corporate America, is most of the time in corporate America, they are not open to the free market of ideas. Whereas in this, in what we do now in marketing, if you have an idea that's better than what's currently in place, everybody is on board with going and tackling it and doing it and improving on the product and the systems that we have in place. Whereas in corporate America, it's do it their way or not at all. And I've gotten to the point both in my career and in what I want with my life to where that just doesn't apply to me anymore. I'm not interested in doing something for the sake of doing it if it doesn't make sense or if there's an obviously better way of doing it that's out there. So like that's 100%, you know, as far as that goes, why I would never choose corporate America again over marketing. Who do you like better, Landon or Tim? There's actually a video coming out, Tim versus Landon. Make sure you check that out. We're going to do a compare and contrast of all the things that are better or worse about them. And then we're also going to judge the bonus dinners that they're doing for the company that they're going out with the people who won. Let's take a look here. What is your definition of success? This is a pretty good one. So this is a conversation that came up on a manager call recently. What is your definition of success? It brings me back to a quote. So one of my favorite movies growing up was A Knight's Tale. Rest in peace, Heath Ledger. You have been weighed, you have been measured, and you have been found wanting. And that's one of the things that always stuck with me when we talk about success. To me, success is to never be found wanting again. If you are successful, it means that you want for nothing. It means that you have accomplished whatever it is that you have sought to accomplish that has left you satisfied with what you have. If you don't have $1 to your name and you aren't wanting for anything, you have everything that makes you happy, you're successful. If you work at Rita's and complain every single day that you don't have the money that you want, that you're not making the progress that you want, so on and so forth, then I find you vastly unsuccessful in life if you're not doing anything to change it. If you're become complacent with just wanting and not having the things that you want, I feel like that becomes a terrible, terrible festering thing that just like hangs over your head. Whereas success would be the exact opposite of that. Success is just 100% finding satisfaction with whatever it is that you have. Landon asked, do you think when you grow up, you'll ever make more money than Landon? I would say check back on High Rollers list 1 month from now, and we'll see if you got that same attitude towards that. I knew he was going to get back at me on this. How do you mentally prepare yourself for the day ahead? This is easy. Trap music, Letterkenny, the Joe Budden podcast, Red Bull or AMP. That's my daily routine to prepare myself. The more corporate answer to that is going to be kind of what I talked about before about organizing your personal time, plotting everything out Sunday night. On Sunday night, I already know what meetings I'm going to run Monday through Friday. I already know what critical conversations I need to have with people in my organization Monday through Friday. So like there's not a whole lot of surprises throughout my week that happen that makes being prepared kind of like an already done factor at that point. Catalina asks, if you could have someone else's job within GraySquare, what will it be? Someone else's job within GraySquare? I'm jealous right now. I'm jealous of Jay Scott. Jay Scott is our business development manager, and every single time that I see Facebook or LinkedIn, this guy is out there doing big things. He's traveling the world. I think he's been in like 16 states in the last 5 days doing meetings and helping the company growth. And he's come up with a couple really cool social media videos for recruiting. If you guys have followed anything on my page, you know that's something I've been trying to do really big. And business development in and of itself is just something else that I wanted to get more hands-on than I ever have been right now. So that would be my number one switcheroo. If I could take it for like a week, maybe not even permanently, but for a week just to go travel around and try to do something like that, I feel like that would be awesome. James asked, what's the biggest challenge that you faced on your path to management? Complete transparency with this. This is cool. So the biggest challenge that I've ever had has always been practicing what you preach, especially when you're in sales, because everyone is not created equally. There have been a lot of things specifically in the sales department that have come easier to me than everybody else that I've had to train. And what that means is that sometimes it'll feel, especially when I was coming up through the field, like I didn't have to put in as much work as somebody else to get equal to or greater than results. This probably added an additional 5 months on my training to get me into a management position. I could have gotten through it a lot more or a lot faster if I would have taken my own advice, if I would have relied on systems rather than talent. It was just a huge downfall that I had, that really, if you've never been in the industry and you're coming from corporate America, which I did, and you're just getting into things, there's no way to know that ahead of time. Like, it's really one of those things where like you almost have to fail and kind of like eat gravel for a while, you know what I mean? Get your road rash, figure out what's going on first, and then still have the fortitude and the grit to be around after you've screwed yourself for 5 months doing the wrong thing, to say, cool, now we're going to fix it. Now we're going to do it the right way. Now I'm going to listen to the advice like that I'm giving other people, because there's nothing worse than looking at someone who you feel as though you're superior than in terms of skill or ability or talent or work ethic or whatever, and then seeing them surpass you because they're doing the advice that you gave them, and they're now in a position that is greater than the one that you're in. So it's a tough pill to swallow. It's one that I openly talk about, and I try to get people to learn from my experiences. And that was probably the biggest issue that I had on the way to management. What has your biggest challenge since you have been? What has your biggest challenge been since you have been at GraySquare? The biggest challenge since GraySquare has definitely been learning to play nice with other managers. I have never had a competent team from a management level backing me prior to coming into this. Like prior to GraySquare, we've always kind of been like a lone wolf type industry. Like you get your own contracts, you run your own business. You're taught in marketing to rely on yourself, and plan B is always screw it, I'll do it myself, and to build things up from the bottom up. GraySquare is the first time that I ever had a team of people who were all just as competent or more competent than I am, with the exception of Landon, and to be able to have all of those people together and rely on each other, it was just different and was something that I wasn't used to. When you put that many alpha type strong personalities together, it becomes something that it can go one way or the other. You either learn to work together to get results that are 10 times what they could have been, or you spend time butting heads. So that was one of the big things that came up for me in terms of what the challenges were. And I would say at this point, 2019, looking back in my GraySquare history so far, we've definitely managed to overcome majority of it and are pushing forward for a brighter future together. And it's what makes us so strong right now. Let's take a look. We had some other questions that came up here. Catalina's blowing me up. Can you help me with my beard game, Steve? Yes, Scotch Porter. Look it up. The products are amazing for beard oil and for beard bombs. Feel free to throw anything else in chat if you guys want me to. We're running out of questions here. Number one city that you want to visit? I like Philadelphia. So I like being here. The next place that I would want to visit if I could, probably be someplace on the West Coast, maybe, or maybe Vegas. I would like to visit Vegas. I haven't been there yet, so that's definitely on the list of places that, not for work reasons, but just to go and enjoy myself. What else we got? Cool. Feel free to throw any other questions in the chat while I go through these. If you could interview a person, dead or alive, who would it be? Would 1000% be Dan Bilzerian. Definitely life goals to get to that type of social media prowess that he has, as well as probably just being an awesome time. Huge fan of poker, huge fan of that kind of like have all the money to do all the crazy stuff in the world that you want Playboy lifestyle, and the interview itself would probably garner a lot of attention and give us the opportunity to grow and use the buzz or the clout that you would get from the interview to do even bigger and better things. What do you like most about working at GraySquare? Mostly so far, I love creating new and organic meetings. When you work at GraySquare and you find yourself in a management position and you're in charge of a team and you're running meetings constantly day in and day out, you get to really reflect your own personal lifestyle and your own personal likes and talents and habits and things like that into the meetings. So for me to be able to run a business and at the same time be able to talk about things like hip hop and anime and run meetings based off of that is one of the things that it's my favorite thing in the world to do. And it also allows you to motivate people that otherwise would never have that idea, because someone will come in brand new, have no idea about marketing or management or anything like that. And then you tell them that they have the opportunity to run meetings on whatever they're interested in. And then it starts in a conversation. What are you passionate about? What are the things that motivate you? What do you like to do in your free time? And you get to really genuinely know people and then help them develop meetings that are around the things that interest them. So every week we have a Leader of the Week meeting where one of the reps have the opportunity to then run a meeting for the entire company because they've been voted and doing well within the company. And we hear topics on everything. We've heard topics from Courage the Cowardly Dog to sports to ballet, like literally everything you could imagine. There's so many different types of people that have different interests out there. And my favorite part about GraySquare is that they embrace it and they give the opportunity not to just management, but to the reps to step up and be able to talk about the things that they want and make points about the things that they want. What are my tips for a new hire? Treat the job like it's your career for the rest of your life. Like if you get hired at GraySquare, if we think that you're a fit for the culture that we have here, trust us that we've already seen that there's something great in you and that there's an opportunity for you to help us with our goals and our growth. And even if you're not 100% confident in yourself, be confident in our ability to do the interview process and put you on a path that is going to make you successful. So attack it with everything that you have. I think that too many people doubt themselves coming into it because there are a lot of strong personalities that are around. And it puts them into a position of themselves to not give 110%. And this is the worst thing that you could do. This opportunity is amazing for someone, especially someone who's looking to grow with a company, get in at the ground level, have a seat at the table, make decisions and give ideas that could actually impact the entirety of the industry. Those are the things that we're looking for. Those are the things that we really want to capitalize on with a new start that isn't present at most places in corporate America. So it's not normal behavior. Most people try to keep that stuff bottled in and fall in line instead of stand out and be a rock star, which is 1,000% just the wrong attitude to have. We're looking for rock stars. We're looking for people who want to have a seat at the table and make a difference and be impactful. So be impactful. What's up to everybody? All the waves out there? What's going on, guys? I probably got another 6 minutes or so if there's anyone else wants to throw out any other questions out there to go over anything. Karen, I love you and your son. Sorry for the internet beef. What else do we got here? Do you have any other management tips, organization tips? No, same thing that I talked about before. I don't want to overstep that. It's literally just preparing your week, taking a day a week, whether it's Sunday, whether it's whatever, and mapping out the rest of your week. I think that's really the best advice I can give someone in terms of time management and organization. Still got some people just joining us now. How's it going? All right. Sandra asked, what attracted you to GraySquare and how has joining them changed your life? So what originally attracted me to GraySquare was the management team. So I got in really close with Tim Kuntz. Him and I had a lot of the same background as far as just coming up. He came up through a company called Sidcore. I came up through a company called Smart Circle. And it creates kind of like a brotherhood almost when you've been through a field, made it to management, and you exchange war stories and stuff like that. And there are a lot of people that we were both dealing with mutually in the industry who didn't have that same story, that same background. So it kind of made us stand out a little bit more, have a little bit more camaraderie. After that, it was 1,000% just the pay structure, the money, the contracts, like the goal and the dream, like everything that Tim put together for GraySquare had everything to do with growing huge and doing something special. And it wasn't a pitch that I had ever heard before. The pitch for every place is like, hey, how many dollars per hour, dollars per sale do you want? No one else was ever talking about taking over the world. No one else was ever talking about what it is that you want to, like, what impact do you want to have? How big do you want to get? And that pitch in and of itself was enough to get me interested. Once I was interested, I wasn't like probably totally bought in until after being here for a month and then seeing the results that kind of tailored in with that type of mentality. So the combination of talking a big game, showing that you could recruit the talent to back it up, and then experiencing it for the first month, that's what changed everything. And as far as it changed my life, is it gave it like we call it Adopt a Dream Foundation, where you're around somebody whose goals and aspirations are so big, and they're constantly talking about it, and they're constantly running it down your throat at every meeting and every conversation that you have, that it becomes your goal and your dream too. Like, you become absorbed by it. And that's probably the biggest thing that's changed, is that it's no longer just me that wants to do something big and incredible and do something awesome. I'm now part of an organization whose primary goal is the same thing. Whereas if you go to anyone else in the industry or even outside of the industry, you don't get that pitch too often. I never have in anyone that I would ever talk to. And I think that that's been a huge thing. So we got any more here? Nope. Cool. So it's about 5 o'clock. Never mind. We're going to keep going. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now in this line of work? In 5 years, hopefully the scope overall of GraySquare has become so large to the point that's more of a national consultant idea at that point. We'll have enough offices to where they're going to need us right now who are in management to do a lot of overseeing for the number of offices and the new people that are coming up. Essentially what our job is to get as many other people into a position to run their own businesses or to run an organization, and to give that back to as many people as possible. So 5 years from now, ideally, I'm going to be helping a lot of people right now who, like, the most important people to GraySquare don't even work here yet. So 5 years from now, we should have people who aren't even employees right now in a position to change their life and their family tree and everything, and like accomplish the goals that they want. So my job will essentially become helping other people achieve their goals within the organization, and seeing the overall growth that GraySquare has accomplished in that time span. So that'll be the huge difference between now and then. But it's 5 o'clock. We're going to stop now. Hopefully this goes over well, and we'll start doing this maybe weekly or bi-weekly or something like that. Appreciate everybody that came on and asked questions, contributed, gave me the waves that I don't know how to do back just yet. And we'll do this again. Thanks a lot, man.